Welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast and a very, very special edition of Coffee with Ken. Hey, I want to spend a couple minutes today and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This video is specifically for business owners, real estate owners that are raising capital. The world of raising capital is changing drastically. The major corporations that are raising capital have all adopted online social media advertising. Everybody is putting out messages in the market and it's going crazy. You see them every day. And I'm going to tell you in this episode how I stay ahead of the whole curve, how I stay in front of every other company that's raising capital because of three specific little moves that I make. I'm going to share them with you right after this.
Hey, my name's Ken, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America. And I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They built their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started.
All right, welcome back. Listen, I debated even telling anybody about this, but I love sharing information with people. And I want to try and be as helpful as I can to everybody that's in the fundraising space, that's trying to raise capital in today's market. And if you are knowing what I'm talking about right now, if you're seeing this in the market, then you know that what I'm really talking about is the evolution of anything. So when we take a look at what's happening in fundraising for real estate opportunities, you've seen, if you're on social media, if you're not living under a rock, you've seen how things are evolving. 10 years ago, the only way you could raise capital is if you owned a real estate investment trust, a REIT. And so you look at the most seasoned companies, the biggest companies that have been out there the longest, they all have real estate investment trusts. And of course, about 5 years ago, there was a new iteration that was created. It's called a mutual fund trust. And the big difference between a mutual fund trust and a real estate investment trust, a mutual fund trust, you can actually raise capital for other things outside of just real estate. Now, you still got to follow the rules. You have to make sure you're compliant with securities commission rules. You have to make sure you have the right partners to allow you to raise the capital in what you're doing. But the world is always changing. And I'll tell you another thing that I saw. I'm going to say this publicly. And if you can prove to me that this isn't right, then I'll retract this statement I'm about to make. But I want you to go into the chat and prove this to me. I may be one of the first people in Canada. My corporation may be one of the first corporations in Canada that did full-scale advertising on social media, paid advertising to raise capital. And that part of the business has evolved like crazy over the last couple of years. So for about 7 years now, I've been running ads on Instagram, Facebook, and Google, putting our fundraising opportunities out to the general public. And I've even tried to go further than that. And I've even published several videos on my YouTube channel where I want to help people right across Canada understand how they can actually start investing in major real estate projects and maximize retirement savings and all the rest of it. But what I want to talk about today is the evolution and how things are changing so that anybody that's just getting into fundraising, or even if you're one of my competitors, I'm going to let you get a little backdoor look at how I actually think about the landscape and how you can stay ahead of it. So essentially what happened was about 7 years ago, major corporations realized that they could stay compliant with the securities regulations in their province, but they could advertise to bigger audiences using paid advertising. And a lot of the incumbents, the biggest companies in the world, saw me starting to do this and started adopting it. And in fact, I even went out to a couple of these major corporations when asked to do so, and I shared with them the strategies that I'm using. But where have we gotten to today when we look at this? If you scroll on Facebook or Instagram for more than 10 or 15 minutes, if you're an accredited investor or an eligible investor, you are going to see several opportunities for people that are interested in doing this. Corporations are offering targeted 15 to 18 to 20% returns. Now, in the world of fundraising, securities commissions dictate that we're not allowed to promise. We're not allowed to guarantee anything because this stuff is all risky. So the word that has been accepted that we're allowed to use is the word targeted, meaning in our pro formas, in the way that we're raising capital for the projects we're raising capital for, this is what we believe is going to happen. This is the targeted return. But have you ever noticed that in all these companies that are raising capital right now, they're all basically offering the same thing. So the landscape is getting really muddy. It's getting really difficult for people to raise money, even raising money online because of that. So if you go scroll on Facebook right now, pull the app up on your phone, and as you're listening to me, start scrolling through it. If you're an accredited investor, you're going to see the ads. And you know what? They all say the same thing. And if you're doing anything and you want to differentiate, if you want to get more customers, more subscribers, more investors, anything at all, one of the most important things that you need to do is you need to study the landscape. I'll say that again. Study the landscape. You need to look at what your competitors are doing. It was Russell Brunson, the digital marketer, who taught me this almost 15 years ago. He said, when you go out and you start running ads for anything you're selling, you need to look at the people that are doing it the best. And the easiest way to do that is go to their Facebook page, go to their Instagram page. Meta actually on every public Facebook page, Meta will disclose they're running ads and here's what their ads are. Go look at them, because what you have to do is you have to figure out how to differentiate yourself in the market, how to do things differently. And I want to publicly thank Russell Brunson right here and right now. And I hope to God he actually sees this. I want to thank Russell Brunson for teaching me how to build a business online, because it's all of his strategies that he taught me 15 years ago is when I first started listening to him. He was the one who taught me that I need to differentiate, that I need to study my competition, that I need to come up with strategies that work in my business that can position my offer completely outside of the noise. There's many books written on this subject. You've read the book, The Blue Ocean. If you haven't, go buy it, because they talk about the fact that most people are trying to fight for market space, for customers inside of this ugly red ocean where everybody's doing the same thing. And if you can figure out a way to differentiate yourself significantly from everybody else around you, you can create a blue ocean. And listen, differentiating is not that hard to do. You've got to understand your opportunity incredibly well. You've got to know what you're talking about, and you've got to know what you're raising capital for at such a deep level that you can identify a way to make your offer different than the market around you. And that's what we've done at the Dunn Investments Fund. So I own a company called Cottage Dream Vacation. We're raising capital for all of our projects right now. And we figured out a way we can offer this fundraising opportunity to our potential investors that is different than what everybody else is doing. And I'm not going to tell you everything about it because you're going to see it and hopefully you'll identify it then. But here's the secret. Here's the behind the scenes. And you can apply this to any business that you could think of. So when you start looking at your clients, your customers, your competitors, when you're looking at your competitors, you're going to see that they're all basically doing the same thing. Most people are. So when I looked at all the other companies that are trying to raise capital, I wasn't looking at them saying, how can I attack them? How can I do worse for them? I'm doing this video, hopefully they see it and they start thinking a bit more like I do, and maybe they can raise money faster. But if I want to raise money really fast, because we went through a period where we didn't have our fundraising dialed in and it set our projects back. So now we're raising capital faster. We're going to get our projects all cut up and get them open. But we had to figure out a way to do things different. So I had to start off by looking at all the competitors. And you know what I saw? Everybody is offering debt raises and everybody is offering a targeted 15 to 18% return. That's what they're offering. And so if I start running an ad with my pictures on it or my likeness on it, or even a video that's approved by my exempt market dealer, if I start running an ad with that stuff on it and I say the same thing, somebody who doesn't know me, it's just going to fall into the noise. It's going to fall into the red ocean and they're not going to pay attention to it, or they're not going to respond to it. And they're going to be like, I'm seeing these ads 100 times a day. So I have to figure out a way to do things different. And I'm not going to tell you what that way is. I'm going to tell you that I did it. So when we are raising capital for our projects now, what I did is I started by looking at what I was offering. So the project I was doing. And I looked at all the other people that had these real estate funds and were raising capital for major projects. And I said, okay, what's different about what I'm raising money for versus what they're raising money for? Because therein lies the solution. Once I can identify why my product is different than theirs, then I can start looking at, okay, because mine is different, how is it different? And once I know how it's different, I can start saying, what are some ways that I can add additional benefits to investing with my company versus the incumbents, versus the competitors? And again, like I'm saying, I'm never going to name a competitor. I'm never going to tell you I think I'm better than them, because that would be a lie to you. I think there's a lot of great companies out there that are raising capital and a lot of people that want to get into it. That's why I'm doing this video. But once I started looking deeply at what I was doing, one of the first things I noticed was in the real estate projects that I'm raising capital for, our plan at the end is not to sell the project. It's to keep the project. It's an asset that has additional capital that it can create. It has additional revenue potential. So I started looking at that and I saw that the revenue potential that we had was significantly more than people around us. And I figured out how to create a different opportunity that could offer superior returns to our investors with lower risk than any of the other people that are fundraising. Now, there are inherent risks that you need to look at if you're going to invest any capital in a major real estate project. And the risk really revolves around, can they get the business done and can they make it successful? Can they build that apartment building and can they get it rented? Can they build that condo building and can they sell all the condos? So you want to look at it as an investor. You want to say to yourself, does this company have the ability, have the track record to complete the project and make it successful and get the revenue coming in? Because if you believe they can do that, then that's a good opportunity to invest in, because it means they'll be able to get you your capital back at the end of that period. What we figured out to do was how to do it at a higher level. We figured out how to give our investors more than our competitors are giving their investors, and how we could do that at lower risk to the investor. Now, I'm not going to give you any more information than that on what we're actually doing, because that's not the point of this video. But I will say this: if you are a passive investor, if you invest in real estate projects, or you're trying to build your RRSP portfolio for a better retirement, and you're not happy with a 5 or a 6 or a 7% return, then what I want you to do is I want you to type more info in the comments of this video, and I will send you a link to a presentation where you can see exactly what I'm talking about and how our projects are different. And if you like what you hear, then you'll have a link there where you could actually book an appointment with one of our dealer representatives and discuss investing in one of our projects. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to waken up anybody in Canada that's raising capital for a real estate project, whether you are a major multi-billion-dollar company or you're the new kid on the block that's just going started and you're about to start your first fundraise. Number one, do not shirk or circumvent the securities rules. Know the securities rules from the Securities Commission in your province and follow them to a T. Get a securities attorney involved in writing your paperwork. Get an exempt market dealer involved in your business. They're your compliance team. They're also the ones that are most legally allowed to raise capital. Anybody has a small exemption group called Friends and Family and Business Associates that you can raise capital from. But if you want to raise large amounts of capital, you need to follow the rules. And that's probably the most important thing to you. And make sure you run everything you're doing by your compliance team. Make sure that if you're about to publish a video, if you're about to run an ad, make sure your compliance team, who are securities compliance approved. In other words, they understand what the rules are in the Securities Commission and the securities rules are in Canada. Make sure they're reviewing everything, and you don't run any ad or anything without your compliance team's approval of it. That's the most important part. And once you get through all that stuff, the second thing, study your competitors. Know your business so well that you can find a unique angle, an additional benefit, a lower risk way to make your offer, and that will attract more people. It's that simple. So here at the Dunn Investments Fund and Cottage Dream Vacations, we're raising money for our resorts. And we plan to keep these resorts and run them. We have a hospitality hospitality management team that has literally hundreds of years of experience running hotels and resorts. Our first resorts are opening in 2026. We have a resort in Calabogie, Ontario that's opening in 2026. Finally, the Hay Bay Resort in Napanee, Ontario is opening in 2026. Despite all the critics and the things they're saying, the Lake St. Peter Resort, the first phase of that is going to open in 2026. And the Chelton Beach Resort in Prince Edward Island, the first phase of that resort is going to open in 2026. It's all coming together. And I'm so excited about it. And why is all of a sudden everything coming together? It's because we are constantly pivoting. When something isn't going right in your business, when something isn't going well, you need to be able to identify that, and you got to go identify it soon enough so it doesn't cause detrimental effects or damaging effects to your corporation, and you make changes. So we made major changes in how we're raising capital and the people that we employ on our team to raise capital, and it's paying off huge with dividends. And then once you get that aligned, now you look at your competitors, you look at what's the benchmark, what's everybody doing, look at your opportunity so deeply that you can figure out a way to differentiate it. And if you can do that, you will win, and you don't have to attack your competitors to do it. You can be a fair team player in the marketplace, and it will work for you. Now, if any of the major incumbent real estate investment trusts or companies hear this video, I will encourage you to find a way to reach out to my team directly. And if you'd ever like to have a telephone call or a private call with me to learn what I'm doing that's so different that things are rocking for us all of a sudden, I'll be happy to share that with you. If you can find me and you can get some time to talk to me, I will more than happily share everything with you. Now, remember, if you want to know more about how we've changed the game, how we've created a better scenario where our investors can make more money than they're seeing in any other opportunity and at lower risk, if you want to know more about that, just go into the chat of this video and type more info. We'll see you soon.